All right, good, Ivan. How are you today?
Very good. How are you, Stuart?
What's happening? Do you have a good long weekend?
It was very nice weekend. I stay in Madrid. How was Cuenca on your side? I saw that
Well,
you were enjoying a little bit of free time around there.
yeah, well, it's a place where you can go that's not far from Madrid. It only takes a couple of hours to get there. And one of the bad things about these long weekends is the traffic jams that normally build up on
Mm,
the
the
Friday, people
return.
leaving the city, and on the Tuesday, in this case, people coming back. So we decided to go somewhere close to where we are here, only 2 hours away, as I said, and it was good to get away, to get into the countryside, and go to a different part of the country.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's beautiful around there. One of
Mm,
those capital of province, and
yeah.
probably not as well known. It has the Casas Colgantes. Probably you'd have a couple of pictures around there. So hopefully you enjoy.
Yeah, well, we didn't go to Cuenca City. We just went to the province, but I've been to Cuenca before, so I've seen those houses that you're referring to. But
Mm.
the quality of life, in my opinion, Ivan, and I'm sure that you will agree, maybe not now, but in a few years' time, that the quality of life in one of those regional capitals is a lot better if you can get a job, of course, than it is in a city
Mm.
like Madrid, where everything is just so stressful with traffic jams and people everywhere. It's just a different life.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And obviously, depending on the lifestyle that you are in, if you are a young professional, probably you want a little bit more of a
Yeah,
buzzing vibe, and capitals is your time. Or when it was my years in London, for example,
mm,
that
mm,
is the kind of competitive environment that you want to be in. But the
yeah,
more that you are settled and you grow up and
yeah.
get a family, you become a father, you have other
That's right.
priorities on top. So yeah, and absolutely,
That's
I
true.
totally support that statement.
Yeah, good. So, what did you want to bring to the table this week, Ivan?
So, well, there's a couple of things on the table that we have been dragging from previous episodes, but we cannot avoid the topic of the last few weeks, the budget, and maybe from there we can elaborate into different things.
Yeah, I think you mentioned a little bit about it last week when you said something about that 250 euro aid for young people that want to emancipate, move away from home. I think you said something about that last week. And then the day after the budgets were passed in the parliament, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Mm.
I am flabbergasted. No 250 for me, not the 400 for the cultural thing. I am out of every single bracket.
Yeah, you're not getting anything. You're probably going to have to pay more tax, in fact, to pay for everything else, right?
I have no doubt whatsoever.
Mm.
And as me, many different people around there. But
Well, that's
also
it.
one of the things that they were mentioning in this budget, that this they are already putting in this budget, and I found this quite amusing, to be honest, because it has not been passed just yet. The EU funds that the government is expecting for like the COVID rebuild, or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't really know what is the actual name, but they are counting on that money already, and it has not been
Yeah.
even disclosed or agreed that they are going to receive it or when they are going to receive it. So
Uh,
it's quite of an
no,
amusing thing.
I think they have received some money so far. I think the first part of the payment package has already been received, and they're going to get more according to whether they can follow a series of rules and regulations or some
Yeah,
type
of
of
course.
control that Europe has set.
Some small print that we don't even know
Yeah.
what is going to happen.
Basically, I think Europe is going to give Spain money, Portugal money, Greece, Italy, other European countries, not just the ones in the south, of course, but
Yeah.
it depends on structural changes that the government has promised to make.
Exactly, and that has been the main topic for the last crisis as well,
Yeah.
from the real estate bubble 2008 that we have mentioned a couple of times.
Mm.
Real estate is a recurrent topic also in the channel.
Yeah.
Those structural changes has not been changed. The public servant is another recurrent topic.
Mm.
The retirements and the
Pension system.
pension,
Mm.
correct, it has not been tackled yet.
No.
um, it's one of those things that is very very difficult to make a change, and with these payments, the 250, the 400 or 300 for cultural things, I think it's, in my opinion, obviously, and as always, my current opinions might not represent my future opinions, but we are just putting a plaster over a wound, and we are
Yeah.
not tackling what is like the real issue. Because
Yeah.
you really want the youth to emancipate, to get into the property ladder, or at least to rent, to have their own life.
Yeah.
That's very good indeed. But
Yeah.
what you are putting is give them the fish rather than teach them how to fish themselves. So
Yeah,
it's a
well,
little
like the
bit
old proverb,
short-sighted.
that's it. Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
it's a problem in a lot of countries. It's not unique to Spain that
Yeah.
politicians, they, to use the expression, they just kick the can down the road for the next
Next 4
person.
years.
Yeah, because
Next
I
4
mean
years election.
yeah,
That's
because
it.
I mean in 4 years, maybe 8, maybe 12. I don't think anybody's got 12 in Spain except for
No.
Felipe González back in the day. But 4 years, you try to change things, and then in the second 4 years, you realize that you can't really get a lot of things done because the system doesn't allow you to do it. So
Exactly.
when they talk, so what you just mentioned there, Ivan, was exactly right. So in 2008, the country collapsed economically, housing bubble burst, and everybody was talking about structural changes. Right? We have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do this, and at the end of the day, very little got done because it's not easy to
Exactly.
change these things because people, I imagine this is the case. People don't want those hard changes, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I wanted to enlighten your viewers, and probably there will be people around there that they will know a little bit more. But what is the cultural background behind all of those things? And I think one of the first things that you have to realize if you are listening out there and you don't have this Spanish mindset, or your contact with the culture is not that great, is that we are a country of extremes. Unfortunately, and this is my own opinion, obviously, we are a country of what I define as hooliganism in politics. Okay,
Hooliganism in politics. Okay.
Yes, and I tell you why. Well, again, generalizations are always bad, but if we have the government, if we have the laws that we have, is because a majority has voted, and
Yep.
that's what they agree with. Okay, but what I realize is that we are a country that either, it's Madrid or Barcelona, is black or white, is PP or PSOE, and you don't really put too much effort or too much thought into something. You are like from this t-shirt, from this jersey, and you are
Yep.
supporting them no matter what. Okay, and that prevents a proper, mature debate. That's what I think on proper terms, in real terms. If with the corruption, for example, no party can say we are clean, because every single one of them, doesn't matter the region, if they have been in the central government or in the comunidad autónoma, they have been involved in different scandals. Okay,
that's true.
But the debate out there, and this is maybe one of the things that we do here more often, is like debate de barra de bar.
Yeah, well, you also have a concept here which is called the tertulia, and you get people on television and radio that talk about these problems endlessly, right?
Oh my God, it's so tiring.
And nothing ever seems to change, or at least that's my opinion. They talk about it, and then I realized that a lot of these journalists or people that are on these tertulias, tertulias it's like a type of chat show type of thing where they talk
like
about the issues of the day, right?
Yeah.
And they're always the same people on there. They're always talking about the same things, and they're always, putting their side of the political argument forward and trying to convince people basically that what they say is right. But nothing ever gets done because the big problems are too difficult to change.
Correct, and that is the debate itself is about convincing, as you have said, rather than a proper constructive dialogue.
Well, this is it. Yeah.
With something that at least, okay, we have come to an agreement that this is done. And the thing is that in those tertulias, in those many different channels from different political spectrum, is not proprietary from one or the other or whoever. No. But they are just defending their corner, and that's all they're doing. Yeah. And if that party that maybe they are sponsoring or they are
I think so. I think
put
so.
in the face. If they have done something wrong, it's like, well, do more. And this is like a 10-year-old street kind
Street
of
battle,
war. Let's
street
say.
fight.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the problem is that we are to focusing on that rather than being constructive. That it's just very frustrating. And I think that is in our nature, because there is many episodes through the Spanish history where that has happened. And just to give an example to your viewers, probably I don't know any other country in the world where showing your own country's flag have a political connotation. Every single time, and this is a very good one, because on Tuesday the
National
12th, it
Day.
was the National Day, exactly. So what happened there is the president of the government, coming from the Socialist Party, were booed by a large proportion of the population that went there to show the events live in Madrid, in the Castellana. So what happened is, well, all these kind of military parade. I think they're trying to do every single year less military and more civilian. The UME that has been doing a great job in La Palma and everything. It was in the parade. The police, the Guardia Civil, even though it's a military corps, it was there as well. So what I was thinking is that maybe for some foreign eyes, it should be a time to bring grace to your own country and to recognize the big effort. But in this country, what it brings to my mind is division. And that's what you see there. The people clapping for the army, clapping for the UME, and then booing the president of the government. Regardless of your political opinions, is a little bit frustrating, because in my...
No, I was just going to say, Ivan, that the Spanish flag has been associated now with one side of the political spectrum, right? So it seems to be that the further right you are in politics in this country, the more you carry the flag around, right? So that's the way it seems to be going. It seems to be that some political parties have taken the flag as their own symbol, right? This is what I'm trying to get to.
But that happened in many other countries. For example, in England, and it doesn't happen with the Union Jack. It happened with the English flag, with the St. George Cross. It has been associated with the right or the far right. But even if you see the English flag or the Union Jack out there, you don't really associate that with a specific, very specific political connotation. And one of the things that I have been realizing with all these years being abroad is that when something happened in Ireland and in the UK, in my experience, and probably in Australia, it happened exactly the same thing. If something affects the country as a whole, all of the political spectrum, usually, I will not say probably there will be an example that they don't come, but usually they come as one person, one body defending their own country best interest. What happened here is totally the opposite. We cannot get a common front to defend the Spanish best interest. Okay, and you can see that in many examples. That is a pity. And actually, it comes to my mind. There was I think it was Otto von Bismarck, or at least they put that quote to this character very often. He says, "The Spanish is the strongest people that I know. They have been trying to destroy themselves for hundreds of years, and they have not achieved it just yet."
They've been trying to destroy the country for 100. Yeah, that's it. I remember that. Yeah, because Spain was one of the first nation states, I think, in Europe. Well, if you compare it to Italy and Germany, for example, I think Spain was around before them as a nation. But it has been difficult to get everybody on the same page, and of course, the problems flare up every now and again. We saw the problems in Catalonia a few years ago. We also see problems with some autonomous communities now. The Madrid community, Ivan, you probably noticed, is now saying that the government is trying to destroy Madrid. So
the political speech is very, very loaded, and every year, and obviously those tertulias don't help because they are appealing to the emotional of the audience rather than of the rational. Okay, and
Well,
that's
but that's another characteristic. I mean, people in this country are very emotional.
we are very emotional, and they know what keys to play. That's for sure. And probably some people on your audience will think, well, what is this guy talking about now about history and culture, and what does have to do with the budget? And I tell you that.
Yeah.
There is a couple of things that I have read, and one of the things it was with the cultural check. No, that I think you are 18, and they will give you 400 quid for you to spend in cinema, theater, etc., or any kind of cultural events. And one of these things that appears also in the headlines is that the toros. Okay, whether
bullfighting
you like it or
is not on that list. That's right.
Correct. And again, coming back to this polarized Spanish society that I'm describing or trying to dissect for the audience, the bullfighting is very, it represents one side of Spain. So in this side is very right or very conservative or more like a traditionalist. Correct. So, being in a socialist government, having the opportunity to get this budget after all the pandemic and giving some money out, it has happened. There was I think $1,500 check in the States. They are debating to implement something similar again. So it's what is required. Okay, whether you like it or not, that is what is going on at the moment. But leaving out of there specifically oppose event, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just in my sense, not because I support bullfighting or not. I don't really can care less. I'm totally honest. But what you are increasing is like the division. You are confronting these two Spains, and I think that is what is really, really sad in my country. So you can find this kind of twist every so often in whatever policies they make. So now with the real estate, the ocupas, or this emancipation problem with the youth, penalize the capitalists that has had a lot of properties, etc. Why you have to put one side against the other? Is always, I have the feeling that it's always this kind of speech in this country. It's always something opposing the other, always trying to divide rather than unite, and that is what I find it very, very frustrating.
Yeah, well, there was he's not in politics anymore, but when Pablo Iglesias, the former leader of Podemos, first came on the scene, his idea was to change all of these traditions into something. I mean, he came out and said that he didn't like the way Spain was, and he wanted to change a lot of these things, which he didn't consider to be, things to do in the 21st century, right? Bullfighting was one of those things. The place where I live here is controlled by Podemos, I think, in the local government. They banned bullfighting about 20 years ago. It's been banned in Catalonia, I think, as well, as also a political symbol there. And there are some parts of the country where it is becoming less and less popular. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the further we go into the 21st century, the less.
Absolutely. And well, just on that topic, just I read quite a while ago, because this is so traditional and it comes so far away in time, that they say that it might come from the old Roman circus, when they got into the Colosseum and they get like a lion or like a wild animal, and the typical wild animal from Spain, it was the bull, and some historians say that it might come from there, but
of course there's a lot of history behind. I don't want to go into the debate about about whether it's good or bad, but I'll just go back and I'll just try to remember this quote that Pablo Iglesias said. He said that he wants to get rid of the Spain. He wants to get rid of the Spain that goes to what are they called? Whorehouses on Saturday and church on Sunday. He said that's what he wants to get rid of, because it seems it's a contradiction that you do in a traditionally Catholic country see so many of these puti clubs on the side of the road, Ivan, that are frequented quite often on Saturday night. You know what I mean? That's what he said he wanted to get rid of. But he meant a lot more things when he said that.
Of course. No. And, whatever your political views might be in one side or the other, at the end of the day, if there is some market for it, or if there is no market for it, it will fall with their own weight. Okay.
Exactly.
And there is no way around it. And, this is also my personal opinion. I firmly believe in your freedom of choose. And, you are free to go to the bullfighting, or you are free not to go to the bullfighting, but nobody should ban or forbid you to do whatever you want. And that's how I have been grown up. That's what I have seen in other countries that I have visited or I have lived in. That was the best. So that's what I find it sad as well. Continue with the budget, because it can go in a very, very tricky if we go through this bullfighting path. But again, engaging with the budget conversation, you can see in every single part of it that there is to divide the society in different ways, or to use maybe like this public money in different benefits. Okay, and again, every party has done that in the past. The cultural bit also in Spain, we're talking about actors, and they have been specifically expressed themselves leaning towards the Socialist Party many times. So again, more division, more polarized society, and this is what you come. Okay, and maybe some views. I think Pablo Casado, there was that they are buying votes, and it could be seen by that by many of the viewers. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is about pensions. And in my experience, I have not seen any other country that use the pensions as a political throw weapon every single time, and that is super sad. That is super sad. And for example, we can talk one day about Australian pensions. One day, I think Australia has one of the best pension systems in the world, in my opinion. And you have ownership of your own pot. Let's say it has a name with Stuart somewhere there with your superannuation, I think it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Superannuation, yep.
But here in Spain, every single time, and especially it usually happens when the election season comes, they use it as a political tool, because it's on the government to either adjust it through inflation or not adjust it, the same as they have the power to, I don't know, increase the salary of the public servant or not increase it. Or I think in the past, different governments from different signal has frozen maybe a paga extra, another of those Spanish things.
Like an extra payment
but
every.
It's not an extra pay. It's not an extra pay, because
it's your salary divided into a different
amount. It's like, I want my salary in 12 months. Thank you so much. Why you have to keep 1 month for you to play and then give it to me
the idea behind it is, I mean, some people get 14 payments, for example, and the idea is that you get one before summer and one before Christmas, so that you inject that money into the economy at those key times, right?
Correct. And maybe for some people that will be, and I thought exactly the same when I went to Ireland. It's like, oh, you don't have like paga extra. Like, what's wrong? But then you realize that, well, if you earn 30K, give me my 30K in 12 payments every single month, and I will look after it. It's this kind of concept of nanny state that, I will keep these 2 payments for you because you will need the insurance, or you will need the holidays or the Christmas presents, because I not trust you that you will save it, I will give it to you at the right time.
Well, the pension systems, it's a tricky one, because everybody's involved in the pension system. So as soon as you start getting a salary, your money goes into that government pot. They control it for you, and then when you retire, they say, "Here you go, sir." Based on the calculations, very complicated system the way they calculate it. You have to be a genius to understand it.
It's unbelievable.
You have to be a genius to understand how it works. Here we go. This is your payment for the rest of your life until the day that you die. Thank you very much, Mr. Government. Thank you very much. Whereas you said in Australia, they've put the responsibility more onto the employer and onto the employee to take care of their own pension systems. Now, I'm not going to say which ones better, Ivan, because I'm not an economist. I don't know, but all I know is that having seen the results of people that have retired in Australia on a good superannuation fund, because remember that the superannuation funds for a lot of people are in the markets. And if the markets go well, the superannuation funds go well. If the markets go bad, the superannuation funds go bad.
But as far as I know, you are able to choose what
Of
funds
course.
your money goes in. So you can be more aggressive or more conservative as you please.
Exactly. So that's what happens.
But here you don't have a saying. It's like depending on the government.
You have no choice. You have no choice.
Exactly.
And the irony here is that they force you to a private pension and private healthcare anyway to some extent, because as we said last week, it's difficult to get an appointment to see a doctor nowadays. So a lot of people are going into the private system, but you can't get rid of the public payments that you make to the state every month.
Correct.
If you do, there's no way to get rid of that, to stop paying into the public system.
But the same is in the UK. In the UK, when I was employed there, in fact, I think they changed the law like 3-4 years ago. Maybe more, but they force you basically to every single company, every single business to offer private pension plans to their employees. By default, you are enrolled. So actually, you have to say, hey, no, sorry, I don't want to be enrolled in this. Yeah. Okay? While okay, you cannot, your national insurance contributions in the UK, you cannot avoid that either way. Okay? And the public pension pot, it will be there or not when you arrive to the right age. In here, as you say, the economical benefits from the pension plans is, in my opinion, bullshit. Because basically what you are delaying is just you are delaying the tax payments. You are saving, or they sell it as a tax reduction. But then at the moment that you retrieve that pot, at the moment that you get to that age, you have to pay all that taxes. So I know. There's not really factual benefits. I think in the UK in that regard is a little bit better. And well, but we are going in quite a lot of different things. But
we're running out of time also as well. But all I can say from experience, as I said before, having seen retired people in Australia, for example, my parents, my uncles, aunties, everybody who's been in that system, because the superannuation system came in, I don't know when it was, maybe in the early 90s, late 80s, because it was a Labor government that brought it in. Ironically, a Labor government, I'll say that again, that brought it in. People there that do retire well. They can maintain quite a high standard of living, whereas what I've seen here with pensioners that don't have the maximum pension, and a lot of people don't get the maximum, you're limited to what you can do every month. You no more overseas trips when you retire for a lot of people. You have to depend again on the government giving you the those pensioner trips every month or every 6 months that they give you. Maybe to go to Benidorm or something like that. So people do retire. Let's say, from what I've seen, poorer here than in Australia. But again, Australia's a different dynamic.
I think so. And again, you are making a market of people depending on your decisions to whether they are going to earn more at the end of the month or not, which, is quite a substantial chunk of the monthly outgoings of the government, the public servants.
The pensions?
And the retired
it's huge.
So by default, whether you like it or not, you are being influenced by a party. While, if it maybe, I don't know what would be the ideal scenario. And again, I am quite far away from that age. And to be honest, if you ask me, I don't think I will ever see a public pension in my lifetime.
A lot of people say the same thing. That's right. But again, you have to put your faith in the government, because if you don't, you've paid all of that money into the system. I mean, I've heard it called a gigantic Ponzi scheme. I've heard it called a lot of things. And at the end of the day, it relies, and I've spoken about this before, Ivan, with different people, even on this channel. It depends on having a certain amount of workers for every retired person. And as soon as that pyramid gets turned upside down, the system's basically bankrupt, right? So
correct. No, and the public, the population pyramid right now is indicating that we are going towards that.
That's right. But again, no politician. I think the Social Security Minister that we have at the moment, he said a few things that people don't like to hear. That people are going to have to work till they're 75. People don't want to hear that, but let's be honest. That could be the reality.
Nobody wants to. I think nobody wants to face the reality.
No.
At some point, either by the EU forcing you to, oh, you want these funds for the recovery after COVID, blah blah blah, you have to do this, like it happened in Greece
Yeah.
in 2008, 10, etc. At some point, that is going to happen in Spain, because there is no way that the system can continue running as it is at the moment, and
Well,
that is
again,
pure mathematics.
well, again,
Unfortunately.
according to the opposition leader, the country is bankrupt, as we saw the other day. But a lot of countries are at the moment. But anyway, we've got to wrap it up, Ivan. I've got to move on.
No
But
problem.
I don't think we got through everything that we wanted to speak about today, but we'll be in contact for next week and we'll continue, okay?
Absolutely. Nice talking to you as always, Stuart. Stay safe.
All right, Ivan, have a good one. See you later.
See ya.
Bye-bye.